then you're still going to have problems communicating with your ancestors, because your ancestors will actually tell you who is okay to have sex with and who not. It's everybody. You're not supposed to take their sperm from them.
Yep, you are so right. I had wrote a little thing on my blog about, like, the penis is like a magic wand, and people need to start looking. In fact, if you look at some of the magic wands from the Middle Ages and stuff, when people were doing this, it was shaped in a phallic symbol.
Like a penis, yep.
And they do this on purpose because every little bit of intent in what you're saying comes out. So they need to look at the semen coming out as some kind of conjured magic, or at least almost like the potion that spills into the goblet or chalice, and it can corrupt or corrode. So you look at that stuff that comes out either being a sealant or something to help it generate greater knowledge, greater prosperity, or entity into this gateway, or it could be some kind of corruption and then cause damage or mold inside. And that's what they really, when you really break it down, even look. If you look online, you can look and see how these things are made to resemble that, because they know the power behind, you know, the whole energy there. So it just, you know, once people start to, and, you know, and I always say, you know, if people hold themselves to perfection, I don't mean being perfect in the sense of I'm better than you, but just saying, you know, I'm a king, I'm a queen, and holding themselves to a standard, and then, you know, maybe the vibratory rate will start to attract more people to people like them and such, you know.
But see, that's what I'm saying. That's why I decided to, you know, go ahead and put this information out, and I was surprised that so many people wanted to hear it and so many people listen. I'm sure people will go download it, because women really don't know who we are, and we don't know how to think, especially when these men that are really low and hate themselves and vibrating very low, a lot of the women have not taught to recognize, or you'll see them and they hoping they will change, and they keep dealing with them, laying with them, and they ejaculating dead, neutralized sperm up in you.
Yep. It's synthetic information, really. That's what it is. It's not even real fertilizer. And I got to thank you for doing that the show the other day you did about, because I think you're probably the first person, other than one other guest they had on the show, that talks about, you know, Taoist practices when you're talking about the egg and everything.
Oh, yeah, the jade egg.
Yeah, because it's like these women, I know about the White Tiger Society that does this, and they practice this, and they have a cult of men that do the same thing, and these people are like 80 and 90 years old, but because they practice that, a lot of these practices, they have youth in them because they know about this sexuality of Taoism or the practices behind that. And the White Tiger Society, these women look to be about, you know, 20 years old or 23, 24, and these women in the 80s because they practice.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. I've seen some pictures, and I'm thinking, well, and I think Bobby Hammett had a thing on one of his shows about them, where in one of his videos where he talked about, you know, look at this woman, how do you think she is? But I've seen this and I've heard, and I think you were probably the only time I've heard anybody talk about this, I think, was on one of these other shows that talked about, I think it was a sexologist, Susie Human, and I called her and asked about it, but I think you're really the only one that I've heard on here so far that is, like, ventured out to say, yes, this Taoist, these are things you can do to better yourself. So I thank you for sharing that, because you're always a step ahead. So.
Well, I feel like a lot of us need to get together. I mean, it's amazing. We need to get together that we are the oldest woman here, but then we don't know nothing.
Yeah.
You know, all the stuff we know is wrong. Just like I know having a man shoot off on you that's sick and his mind is dead and he don't know who he is and he ain't got no love for you. He don't see your image as sacred. You just something to screw. Him shooting off on a woman will make you grow old. It will actually start you to deteriorate and unravel on the psychic, mental, and emotional level because the energy's so fucked up and when he's shooting off in you and his thoughts towards you. So when you see a man that's wore out, a lot of times he done shot off too hard and too much. And he was shooting off just to be shooting off and for pleasure. So a lot of these people don't think about that. And when I see somebody, you know, they look wore out, they hopping, hobbling and shit. Ain't nobody finna hobble up on me and hobble off sperm all up in me. You know, because people are not realizing what is going on in the energy field of that person that is looking all like that and woe out and sick all the time. But people will look at their money or what they look like. They don't look at, wait a minute, what is going on the energetic level? And that's what's so sad because we're not taught to that everything is first about energy field, and you're not supposed to go down because you get older every year. You're supposed to regenerate, but see, they have tricked us into living and believing a lie.
Yeah.
So instead of us regenerating, our people are deteriorating the fastest, and then they give you food and chemicals to help you go all the way down the hill and tell you, that's just a part of it. That's part of life. And it's not.
And the people, you talk about sexual sexuality, these people before get up there with all this coke and all this junk in their body and stuff, and that's not even helping anything either, because that's just like connecting drugs, all this garbage and food, the types of food to eat, and versus natural teas and stuff. It just, doing that, and you made it with somebody who's in a total opposite from you is just kind of, why are you going to sleep with somebody drunk and you're used to taking natural foods, natural medicine, natural things, and you kind of putting toxic waste in your body doing that when you merge or do that connection. So, it's crazy, and I thank you for sharing this, and I'm glad for this show here that you extended and actually did another one, so.
Yeah, this was heavy on my mind. I woke up and it was on my mind, and I had been thinking about it for a while, and I said I was just going to put it in my book, but then I believe that it's something that a lot of people want to know and they need to know. I didn't think that people were ready. I just unmuted a lot of calls just in case people wanted to say something, because luckily I did. Because right after I did it, then they shut down my phone line, so I can't see anybody. I don't see any numbers on my board right now. So if anybody, I try to unmute as many people as I could, so that if anybody wanted to say something while we're on the line before we go, then you can just say excuse me, or you can step in and say something, because I wouldn't have been able to go to everybody later. And I see now immediately at 7:30 they muted. They basically erased my phone line, so I can't see numbers, but I can still hear everybody. I know you can hear me. So if anybody wants to step in and make a comment, you can. We can hear you. What were you saying? Well, somebody's laughing in the background. Somebody somewhere.
but yeah, Mobile says she's on the phone. They're on the phone, and
I hope I unmuted her. I only know she
Kikomo says she can hear.
Oh, good.
But yeah, it just amazes me, the way you hear people, and just, I'm like, if people do the same thing when they question, if you buy some clothes or something, they will go crazy to I want to get the best deal. I'll go to 3 or 4 shops to get the best deal with clothing. If they want to get a car, they will look up every book in the world to find out the blue book value, to find out, who's going to get the best deal, the cheapest car insurance and everything. And then when they're choosing their mate or something, it's like, oh, whatever, just on face value almost, and not really thinking. I'm like, you can do that, but, use a little common sense. If you do it with everything else, use a little bit of intuition with that and see where you go from there. And a lot of people just don't want to think on that level. They're still in stupor instead of really getting out there.
But that's what I'm trying to say, though, is like by doing these shows, because people don't realize especially I definitely wouldn't deal with nobody that eat pigs, because pork has a lot of trichomonas worms in them, and people don't realize when a man is ejaculating, he's transferring them worms to you. He's transferring everything he's eating to you. He's transferring energy of every lover he's had before you. And a lot of times men will still hold drama in their nuts, and they will hold drama in their sperm. A lot of times men have a lot of hatred issues towards women or resentment towards women, and they will bring that into the relationship with the new woman, and the woman might not know about it. He can really, be into the new woman that he's with, but men hold shit in their nuts,
Yep. Keep saying, look at it like a one. I keep telling look at it as a one. That's the way I always see this. Same thing, with these men that see these women who seem to be, not on that same level. I'm like, is this your golden goblet, or is this a cheap paper cup that's like, tainting your wand? But people, it's crazy when you look at the whole history of how you really look at how it works and what you transfer with this energy. And, as they say, DNA has memory. So when you merge that together, think about it. When you have a child, you're merging the energies of two people as one. So even it touching you on inside, that stuff, it lingers. You got residue. And if you are intuitive, and I know you are, and I have an intuitive intuition too. You can pick up energies from people just by walking by them if you're not too clean, if you're not protected